When the Washington Post dug up financial statements from President Trump for a scoop today that shows how much Trump regularly exaggerated his assets and his wealth in these documents to potential investors and journalists and other people he wanted to impress. On the one hand, that was yet another example of the president telling lies about provable things. On the other hand, though, this isn't exactly like lying about your hand size. Is there potential legal liability for the president in producing financial statements that materially misrepresent how much he's worth? Here's how a professor from George Washington University characterized it to the Washington Post today. Quote, "How much would the errors impact an investor?" I should also tell you, this professor adds that he has never seen a document stretch so far past the normal conventions of accounting. The professor told the Post, quote, "It is humorous. This is a humorous financial statement." Joining us now is David Fahrenthold, Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington Post reporter who broke this story today. Mr. Fahrenthold, it is great to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So this feels a little bit like some of the stuff that Michael Cohen laid out in his bombshell testimony before Congress a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about the president augmenting his assets and playing down his liabilities in order to try to get loans from banks or to try to reduce his insurance premiums. That seemed like potential legal jeopardy for the president because the banking industry and the insurance industry are tightly regulated, and lying to those institutions can send you to jail, which Michael Cohen is now about to do. This reporting, though, is about President Trump trying to impress different sorts of people. So I wonder where you come down on the issue of whether or not this might actually be a legal problem for him.
Well, in the short term, it is a legal problem. In the last few weeks since Michael Cohen testified, we've seen subpoenas from the New York Attorney General to Trump's lender, Deutsche Bank. We've seen subpoenas from the New York insurance regulator to Trump's insurer, and some document requests from the House Oversight Committee, all focused on these statements of financial condition, basically asking these folks that Cohen said Trump had influenced with these inflated statements, asking them to provide documents about how exactly they were influenced and what Trump told them. So I don't know in the long term, will this be a civil, will this lead to civil charges, a lawsuit? Will there be something criminal? That's way in the future. We have to know a lot more before we can say what's going to happen with that. But already we've seen this issue go from kind of a issue, as you said, of character or morals into a legal issue as all these investigators start to dig in.
And David, one of the things you point out is that there is, in the first paragraph from these statements, there's a caveat from Trump's accountants that says, "We have not audited or reviewed the accompanying financial statement." That seems like kind of a CYA, forgive me, statement from the accountants saying, like, don't blame us, don't hold us accountable for what's in here. Is that kind of a caveat so legally significant that it could actually be kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card for numbers and documents and like this that might otherwise potentially get you in trouble?
It could be. The experts we talked to said that, yes, that kind of disclaimer, it's a 2-page, that's how many things were wrong with these documents according to normal accounting standards. It's a 2-page disclaimer at the beginning of a 20-page statement describing all the different ways that Trump has diverged from normal practices. But even at 2 pages, it doesn't cover all the document's flaws. That's the important thing here. There are other errors in the document, errors of fact, that are not disclaimed, that are not caveated, that you wouldn't know if you were reading the whole thing, you wouldn't know were wrong. I mean, one of the ones you mentioned earlier is a $72 million error. Trump said he had 24 more home lots to sell in California than he did, and he said he was going to sell them at $3 million apiece. So if you look at Trump and you think, well, here's a guy who's got $72 million worth of future cash flow that he really doesn't have, that could be a material distinction.
David, does it make sense to you that New York state authorities are among the law enforcement entities and sort of accountability entities that are looking into these matters? Obviously, the Trump Foundation, which you did such groundbreaking work on, the Trump Organization are headquartered in New York. President Trump is a resident of New York. These things mostly pertain to his time, or all pertain to his time before he was president. Does it make sense that New York State would be the entity that would be pursuing this now?
They make sense to be one of the entities pursuing it. So Deutsche Bank, which was one of Trump's main lenders in this period, Michael Cohen said that they got a lot of these flawed financial statements. They're headquartered. This particular office Trump went to was down at 30 Wall Street. So the insurance regulators and the New York Attorney General have jurisdiction over both ends of the transaction, the accountants, the Trump, as well as his insurer and his lender.
David Fahrenthold, reporter with the Washington Post, Pulitzer Prize winner. Sir, thank you for being with us tonight. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, much more to come here tonight. Do stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.